Shalom, giving all praises to Yahweh, Bashem, El Shai, Bashem, Rakakwadash, Shalom to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect out there. Shalom to you all. And I'm going to entitle this video, Are the Edomites Still Among Us? Chat GBT. Okay, so I went to Chat GPT and I posed the question, are the Edomites still here on the earth? When you go to the scriptures, you read about the Edomites. You read about the Table of Nations in Genesis chapter 10. It says, that's a deep and often debated question with historical, religious, and cultural angles. Historically speaking, the Edomites were an ancient Semitic Sem. That's what I use the term, anti-Sem. So the question is, maybe you guys are, we'll say you are Semites, but what type of Semites? Edomites were Semites. Ishmaelites were Semites. Moabites and Ammonites were Semites. I mentioned Ishmael, the 6 sons of Keturah by way of Abraham was Semitic. Abraham's 2 brothers and father were Semitic. So when you say Semitic or anti-Sem, who are you talking about? And the word there really should be, they say Semitic, but it's Shemitic. Shemitic. Of Shem. Historically speaking, the Edomites were an ancient Semitic people. The Israelites are Semitic or Shemitic, descended from Esau, the first Edomite, the brother of Jacob or Yaquab, all changed, which his name was changed to Israel. According to the Bible, the scriptures, they lived in a region called Edom that would be south of Moab, Ammon, and utterly south of Jerusalem or Palestine, located south of the Dead Sea. So if you go to the map, you go to the south, you're going to run into Moab, Ammon, and Edom. Then you keep going south, you're going to wind up in the wilderness. In between the 2 gulfs, modern day southern Jordan and parts of Israel. Edom was a rival of ancient Israel. Well, they were brothers. So they're family, they're Shemites. And so when you argue with a small hat, you tell them, yeah, you're a Shemite. I'm a Shemite too. Or Semite, as you call it. But you correct them. You say, where does Sem come from? It comes from the word Shem, which means put or name. History is detailed in the Bible and some archaeological records. Remember, they found relics of the Edomites. One relic that they found was a god that they worshiped, because at first they worshiped Yahweh. They were taught to worship Yahweh by Abraham, the grandfather of Jacob and Esau and Isaac. And they went away from the power of Israel and set up their own god, which is called Kwas. Look it up. Which is a Hebrew word. I believe it's pronounced Kwawas. And you know what? Go to Google and put in who is the god of Edom, and you'll see that it's Kwas. And look at the phenotype. Phenotype. Let me give you the word phenotype. I'm sorry, I'll give it to you. You know what I'm gonna do? Let me do it this way. Phenotype, meaning.
Here's the definition of phenotype. the set of observable characteristics of an individual resulting from the interaction of its genotype with the environment.
Okay. Phenotype. I'm trying to get an example. What is a simple definition of phenotype? In simple terms, a phenotype is what you can observe or measure about an organism, like its physical appearance or behavior. Remember, we are organisms, right? It's the result of the interaction between an organism gene, genotype, and its environment. What are 5 examples of phenotype? Let's see what it says. Phenotype refers to the observable characteristics of an individual. Like you have, okay, no, I'm sorry, this is good. Including physical traits. You see somebody walking down the street, you clearly get closer, you can clearly see it may be a white person. They might have a pointier nose. They'll have straight hair. Their faces might be more elongated. You see a Moabite, an Ammonite, their faces might be rounder and flatter. That's a phenotype, so you can understand. Biochemical characteristics and behavioral traits. 5 examples of phenotype include height, eye color. Somebody with blue eyes, oh, he had blue eyes, you're going to think of a white person. Hair, Edomites have straight hair. Blood type, and a predisposition to certain diseases. So in the simplest terms, it's you can see somebody that looks he looks African. See somebody from China, actual Chinese person, descendant of the Chinese, which are the Moabites. He can be Chinese, Japanese, or Korean. Then you have the Vietnamese, which have traits of Chinese, Japanese, and Korean, but they're normally darker. Sometimes they're dark brown. Our phenotype is similar to Ham's phenotype. So let me come on down here. Okay, Edom was a rival of ancient Israel, and their history is detailed in the Bible and some archaeological records, meaning Edomites existed. By the time of the 1st century CE, which is during the time of the Messiah, the Edomites, also called Idumeans by the Greeks and Romans, which, by the way, the Greeks and Romans having that phenotype are Edomites. The Romans are Edomites, descended from Edomites, had largely been absorbed into other cultures. So Esau couldn't just go away like vocab. No, the Edomites just disappeared. According to this, they absorbed themselves into other cultures. They call themselves Greeks and Romans. Now let me hold this, and I'm going to show you something. You can't do away with a nation unless the Most High does away with them. And the Most High to this day has not done away with any nation. He's getting ready to do away with Esau. It says here, the Bible, specifically Ecclesiastes and the scriptures, 4 verse 16 states, there is no end to all the people, to all who were before them. This verse highlights the continuous flow of generations and the vastness of human history. You can have Edomites that look like Jake, that look like Ham, that look like Moab. So there's no way you can destroy the Edomites. A nation cannot, Israel couldn't destroy it. Nobody can destroy the Edomites or the Moabites or the Ammonites or the Israelites unless you gather them all together, and you would have to need a certain device to see whether that's an Edomite that looked like a Jake. So the Edomites are here. The Herodian dynasty looked like Israelites, but they were Edomites. So for you, vocab, to make that stupid statement, oh, they disappeared. When did they disappear? That's our response. When did they disappear? He didn't have an answer for us. Oh, they disappeared after 70 AD. It wasn't mentioned no more. Wait a minute. We did some research and found out that there was Edomites that was involved in the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. They mentioned Edomites. So that was 79. That was 9 years after 70 AD. So what are you talking about? The Edomites are here, and we have identified them. The prophets of Yahweh B'Ashem Yahushua have identified them. And some of them can and will look like Jake, Moab, and all the other nations. Keyword is absorbed. It suggests that the succession of leaders and rulers, like the youth mentioned in the verse, is a cyclical pattern where there's no definitive end. There's no definitive meaning of end. Definitive end to the line of people who have come before. So they here. Maybe they mingle themselves with the other people. Maybe they got this. Most of them have this phenotype of their foreparents. So what are you talking about? It said Herod the Great, for example, was an Idumean, which is an Edomite. After the Roman destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD and other major upheavals, Edom as a distinct nation disappeared from historical records. Yeah, because they were calling themselves Romans. Like Negroes, right? This is why Negroes, well, we're not the Hebrew Israelites, and that's a cult, and you can't get with them camps. And first of all, you Negroes out there, Negro is a name that was put on you. African American, black, whatever you want to call yourself, colored folk. When we say we Israelites, we're not saying we're part of a group that's made up like the Nation of Islam, which there's no such nation as the Nation of Islam. So it's a waste of time talking to a NOI. So the ones of you that make these videos, you got to stay away from them Israelites. You got to get back to Jesus. You dismiss them people. They're not of the elect. So are they still here? Question mark. Not as a distinct, identifiable ethnic group today. Yes, they are. They have a phenotype, but some of them will look like other nations. Some of them will look like Israelites. Some of them will look like Moabites, Ammonites. Like many ancient peoples, which includes the Edomites, their descendants were likely absorbed. Does that mean that they were done away with? Into broader populations over centuries, hundreds of years, vocab, you listening? Some modern groups today or religious sects claim spiritual or symbolic connection to Edom. Well, the Edomites ain't done that. No, they were done away with. No, we're not them people. I don't know any group that's going to identify themselves for being Edomites. There ain't no group out there with a sign with the 12 sons, the dukes of Esau, talking about they Edomites. Nobody does that. If anything, Edomites want to say the Edomites have done, no, there's no more Edomites. Well, here you got Chat GBT saying that they were absorbed. which some of them were. We know the phenotype of an Edomite, and most of them look like their god, Quaz. So stop it. Get some help. This truth is kicking. Hey, the paper tiger's looking bad. The king of Babylon flinched. He's looking real weak. Remember what Moab said. Moab, it was a Moabite that wrote Sun Tzu, The Art of War. You can't deal with this, the art of war. It's about strategy. But those are often based on theological interpretations rather than clear genealogy. Yeah, because nobody's going to step up to the plate and say, oh, I descended from Edom. Are you asking from a biblical, historical, or cultural angle? You can take out the cultural angle. There's no Edomite food. Let's get some Edomite food. No. So the culture's out of there because then nobody wants to claim Esau. So there's no culture. There's no Edomite culture. Are you asking from a biblical, historical angle? Yes, a biblical and historical angle. The Bible is a book of prophecy, laws, statutes, commandments, writings, and history. Anyway, with that, I think I said enough. It's on to the next. Shalom.